YouTube, it's Satch. Welcome to Drive 81. You join me in the cockpit of this Porsche Boxster 986. Now, this car is not the centre of attention today. The car we're going to talk about is the Porsche 911 991, which is the current variant of 911. So the 991 was on the market from 2012 and will soon be replaced in 2019 with the 992, or what we believe to be called the 992. Now, if you follow the channel, you'll probably know that I've sold my 991 and I went back to a 997, the speed yellow 997. However, the 991 that I owned was a great car, but these cars, like any car, they're not without their flaws. I don't know any car that's ever been produced in the whole of history of cars that hasn't had a problem. So the purpose of this video is really not to slag off the car or tell you that the car was a bad car. I'm just simply pointing out the things that may well break or have broken for some users. And I guess with that in mind, you could see this as a pre-purchase guide or a helpful guide that may sway you one way or the other if you're deciding on buying one of these cars. But before I get into it, I also want to say that this is not a fully comprehensive list because I don't know all of the faults. I just know quite a few of the common faults. So if there's something that I don't mention in this video, please comment in the box below about a problem that you've had on your car, and that way the video may well become a good resource for anybody else who's looking to buy one of these cars or wants to know the potential pitfalls. Okay, so the first problem I encountered with my 991 was indeed the heater blower resistor failed on the car. It was a really cold December morning and I decided to go in, turn the car on, do my normal day-to-day business. However, I was getting no heat at all coming out of the fans, the vents, sorry. And when I spoke to the guy at Porsche Centre Newcastle, he did say that there was a lot of cars coming in with this issue. Luckily for myself, it was replaced and repaired under warranty, so I didn't have to fork out any money. So obviously with cars of these value, it's a good idea to get some sort of warranty or guarantee with these cars, because it looks like that will be a failure on quite a lot of them. Okay, the next problem that I encountered was rattles in the car, rattles and vibrations from both the rear and the front of the car. I did manage to source the rattles and the vibrations, which is, it's absolutely fantastic when you're able to do that. It's the most annoying thing in the world if you can't do that though. The front rattle, it sounded like it was sort of in the dashboard but underneath the dashboard. And in fact what was happening is, if you open the frunk, so the front boot, you will find a black plastic battery cover. That is what was causing the rattle. So what you can do is you can insulate that cover. Make sure everywhere it touches another piece of plastic or another piece of material is covered in what I used. I think I used like sticky back felt, and I just basically surrounded all of the corners and everything that was touching something else. I made sure it was covered in this black felt, and that stopped the rattle. That was fantastic. The rear rattle, I never did fix that, to be honest with you, because it was not long after I found the rattle I sold the car. But basically in the pillars for the rear, get somebody else to drive the car and just basically touch the the roof panel, the headlining on where the pillars are, and you'll find that you can probably stop the rattle. So if you can maybe try and force something down there, like a sponge or something, so to cut up some sponge, force it down there, and that's probably going to stop the rattle. Okay, the next thing on the list is the active engine mount failures. Not a high failure rate, but still a failure rate. What happens is with the Porsche 911, certainly on the I'm not sure if it happened on the 997, but on the 991 variant, they introduced a thing called active engine mount, where basically Porsche originally, when they produced their cars, they wanted cars to be able to drive in all conditions. They wanted it to be driving Africa, they wanted it to be driven in New York City, in the UK, and obviously when you've got a sports suspension, it's really difficult to have a car which can drive in all different terrains. So what they produced was a thing called active engine mounts, and basically when the car goes over a certain RPM, the suspension will stiffen up because the car knows that you're driving it in a manner in which they're generally supposed to be driven, in a sporty way. So I think what happens is when you're driving over a certain RPM, they stem the flow of the hydraulic fluid towards these mounts, which causes them to stiffen up a bit. And obviously when you're under a certain RPM, the hydraulic fluid flows a bit more freely, so it makes the suspension a little bit more bearable. Now these can fail, meaning you will need to get them replaced. Okay, the next thing is a problem with the PDK box. The PDK box, for me, absolutely magnificent. It's super intelligent, the gear changes are super quick, but I appreciate the PDK is all down to personal preference. Some people prefer manual, some prefer PDK. However, I have seen a few reports that people have been left completely stranded or left really struggling with their PDK box. Not a great deal of people, just a small collection of people, because the PDK box has either gone into limp mode or it's completely stuck in one of the gears. Now, one of the examples I know of is that the guy was stuck in 7th gear and he basically could barely do anything in 7th gear. So he managed to limp home and he found out about the 3 open, 3 close reset. So if you're not sure about what that reset is, Google it, it'll give you the answer. But basically he was able to reset the PDK transmission and it worked fine for a few days. However, the same thing happened again. This time the PDK stuck in gear 3, so 3rd gear. Now at the time of making this video, this fault is still quite fresh. Investigations are ongoing by Porsche Centre, so unfortunately I don't have an answer as to why that's happening. But just be aware that it can happen. Unfortunately, PDK box replacements are going to be very expensive, probably looking at about £10,000. The next one relates to the 991.2s. Customers have experienced a little bit of turbo back off with the new turbo engine cars, so it looks like they're not getting the full power that they need to be out of these turbo engines. Again, it's a small minority, but it has been reported by a few customers. So if you're test driving the car, it's really making sure that you're getting all of the boost that's available. Okay, the next thing I'm going to put in here is not actually a fault, but I've seen so many forum posts, Facebook posts, online posts and questions about a certain knocking when you're turning left or right at low speeds. And myself included, I originally thought it was a problem with the car or a fault with the steering system or the braking system. In fact, it's not. It's just the way that the new Porsche vehicles are set up. It happens in the Caymans, the Boxsters, Panameras, 911s, and it's something to do with the geometry of the suspension. So if you're getting a knocking sound when you're doing slow, tight left or right turns, don't worry about it. It is perfectly normal. Okay, so another thing that I experienced with these cars is brake squeal. Now, no matter what I did, I could not get rid of this brake squeal. I took it into official Porsche Centre and they said it's perfectly normal. Well, I don't really buy that. I don't believe a car that you're paying £60,000 for should give you brake squeal. tried all the brake cleaners, I tried all the copper grease on the back side of the brake pads, and no matter what I tried, I was just unable to get rid of this brake squeal. It's something that I googled, and I did find a lot of other people who were experiencing the same thing, with ultimately nothing from Porsche. Nobody holding their hands up, and nobody really offering any sort of help. Alright, the second to last thing is something that I understand that the stop-start system can come on and go off depending on the vehicle status. There are lots of different factors within the vehicle, and depending on how the vehicle is set up, what systems are on and what systems are off, that will depend upon whether the start-stop actually works or not. For me, that is exactly what would happen. However, I would also, well, what happened to me was the stop-start just completely stopped working, and not one situation that I put the car in would allow this to work. It turns out, I mean, it's quite foolish in the end, but I just did. If you don't know, you don't know. I took the car to Porsche Centre and got it done under the warranty, but it turns out it was just a fuse. So if you're getting the stop-start which doesn't work at all under any circumstance or any vehicle condition, just check the fuse box and you'll probably find that it's a fuse. Alright, and the final set of faults for this 991 is not something that I experienced. However, it is something that a gentleman sent to myself, and he was telling me about the faults that he's had with his particular 991. So I can't verify any of these. I haven't looked into these any further to find out what the problem may well be. All I know is these faults happened to one owner of a 991. So he said the faults on his car were as follows: an air conditioning sensor failure, the engine would cut out at low speeds, there was a squeak and a rattle from the sunroof, headlamp failure when driving at night, I don't know, might have been a bulb, the brakes were sticking when the car was parked in the sunlight, and the Bluetooth would intermittently work. Alright, so that's it. That's your list from me. As I say, if you have anything to add to the list, or if you have any faults in this 991 that I have not covered, please by all means pop them in the comments box below. I may well even make a part 2 of this video if there are enough faults that I haven't covered. And as I say, it's not to scare anybody off, it's just to give people an idea of what to expect and the potential money that they may have to fork out if they do have failures on these cars. Obviously, I have not included anything that is serviceable. So, you know, your oils, your brake pads, your filters, your spark plugs, your ignition coils, because they are serviceable parts. You'd need to change those on any single car. So thanks for watching. Please like the video, please subscribe to the channel. I am giving away this Porsche Boxster once I hit 100,000 subscribers, and I think I may have underestimated the amount of time that it's going to take me to get to 100,000 subscribers, but with your help we can get there a little bit quicker. Alright, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.